in my head, and it happens to you too, whether you know it or not. It happens to you too. But once I recognized that and I got out of the funk, then I got a text message from somebody who said, "Yes, I want to work with you," and they sent money through, right? Which is great. So that's somebody else that I can now help, right? I got more subscribers on my YouTube same day, like an hour after, like I was in this funk, and I kind of shook it off, right? But think about the times when you were not able to shake it off, and then you stayed in the funk, not for an hour, not for a half an hour, but the whole day, and then you got in your head that, woe was me, nobody understands what I'm going through. Just a bunch of negative thoughts. And it happens. But in order to shake the feeling off, you have to recognize it. And I'm 44, right? So it took me years to understand that I had an enemy and what the enemy's job is. My job is to believe that I can do X thing, whatever that thing is, or achieve things. But the enemy's job is to get you in unbelief, so you'll be believing for the opposite of what you're believing for, because those negative thoughts just rerun in your head. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working, right? And then as you think that, then that comes out of your mouth. It's not working. And then as soon as those negative words come out of your mouth, then that's what you start believing. Hey, family. This is Jay Willis coming back with another episode of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, we moving, man. 60 plus episodes in, bro. That's crazy, man. So, guys, just wanted to say thank you for all the return listeners who have been listening to this podcast. Also, I'd like to say thank you to the first time listeners. If you are a first time listener, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, we're going to add value to your life. All the return listeners, hopefully, we've been adding value to your life. So you're coming back for some more information, because we are all on our way to the M's, man. We got to get there. We're gonna get there together. So hopefully, you guys will continue on this journey with me. We're gonna get to it, man. But I just want to say, this week has been a really good week. It's been up and down. Had some areas of opportunity, and just going back watching some of my old podcasts, or even some of the not so old podcasts. And one thing that uh really stuck out to me was this thing about comparison being the thief of all joy. A few weeks ago, I did a podcast talking about comparison, how although I am and we are, as a family and individually, we're at certain places in our lives, and we look at other people and where they are, and then we have a tendency to be ungrateful for where we are, even though we are way ahead of where we once were, or even a year ago, 6 months, 3 months from now. We are way ahead of where we were. Excuse me. So we need to take into account when we get into a funk, or we get down on ourselves, and understand that we still have work to do, and we still have things and places that we need to go. And the way I know that is, we had a 7.5 year goal to pay our house off. And if you're new to this podcast, we just paid our house off. If you're old to this podcast, or you're a previous listener, you're probably sick of hearing me saying about this, talk about this, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. Paid our house off, and we were on our way to get to this goal, and we finally got to the goal. And when we got there, I'm like, okay, this is great, but that's it. Like we paid the house off. That's it. Instead of staying in a grateful state, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's it. What's next? Instead of sitting in and celebrating, continuously celebrate, because we did celebrate, but continuously celebrating our wins. And that's what I think this podcast today is going to be about. It's about being grateful and celebrating the wins, because I think although we hit a lot of points in that podcast episode talking about the comparison piece, but I think there's still a few other levels that we can go just a little bit deeper underneath the surface, because there's so many layers to comparison. And I think it also causes, like, when we compare ourselves to other people, if we do it long enough, if we compare ourselves long enough, it can possibly cause depression, because at the end of the day, like, we're all trying to get somewhere in life, and we're using people as mile markers of where we want to be and things like that, but then we can get in our heads like, okay, this is great for me where I am, but I'm still not where they are. And I think that can cause depression, and I think we need to um kind of address that, right? Reading this amazing book, 10 times is easier than 2 times. I've talked about this book, almost finished reading it now, but I talked about this book so many times, but it's so awesome, man, because one of the pieces that we just read a little bit ago was talking about being in the gap. And the gap is being in a place in our lives where we are comparing ourselves to other people and not being grateful for where we are. And I think that a lot of us, we all fall into it at some point in time in life, right? But we need to understand, like, the older I get, I'm like hypersensitive and being aware of when I'm in a funk and when I'm in a bad mental space. And then I think to myself, why am I here, or how did I get here? And this actually happened to me today, which is the reason why we're talking about this. Is I woke up, had a great night's sleep. I woke up and I was just in a funk. And I asked myself why. And it was because I opened up my phone and I looked at social media and I didn't see things that I wanted to see. Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Are you tired of being stressed out over money? Are you tired of using credit cards as your emergency fund, bearing you deeper and deeper in debt? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, I'm here to help. My name is Che Willis, and I help families living paycheck to paycheck live the life that they want to live through budgeting and investing. And I understand that the word budgeting is scary. I get that. I'm here to take the fear out of that word. All we're doing is just telling our money where to go. That's it. We're lowering our expenses so then we can use that money to march out into the marketplace to bring us back some more money babies. That's all we're doing. So if you are fearful of budgeting and you need help, I have the answer. Book a call at wealthisajourney.com. Again, wealthisajourney.com, so we can get you on the road to living the life that you want to live starting today. Again, wealthisajourney.com. I look forward to talking to you. Like, I wanted to see more engagement. I wanted to see comments. I wanted to see, and I didn't see it. And as I'm thinking to myself, like, why am I in this funk? That's why, which is the reason why, for me, social media is not good for me. And if you really think about it, being on social media and things of that nature can cause you to be upset sometimes because you saw something or you didn't get the desired result that you were looking for as a result of you putting something out there, right? And that's natural. But It's not healthy. If you know that about yourself, then you can stop it, but you have to stop it, right? So once I realized that, I'm like, okay, well now it's time to shake it off. And normally when things or feelings like that come in my mind, pause. When feelings like that jump into my head, then I know that something good is coming around the corner. Because I mentioned it in podcast episodes before, right? We want to go somewhere. We're trying to do something, right? We have this goal in our head to accomplish and achieve things, right? But then we have an enemy. And the enemy's job is to get us in unbelief about the thing that we're believing for. So I'm believing for clients. I'm believing for this podcast to go out around the world and be enjoyed and consumed by people who it's going to help. Um, uh, I have different aspirations and things of that nature. However, the enemy knows that and trying to get in my head that it's not going to work. This is not working. Um, they didn't understand what you were trying to say, or just putting negativity in my head. And it happens to you too, whether you know it or not. It happens to you too. But once I recognized that and I got out of the funk, then I got a text message from somebody who said, "Yes, I want to work with you," and they sent money through, right? Which is great. So that's somebody else that I can now help, right? I got more subscribers on my YouTube same day, like an hour after like I was in this funk, and I kind of shook it off, right? But think about the times when you were not able to shake it off, and then you stayed in the funk, not for an hour, not for a half an hour, but the whole day. And then you got in your head that woe was me. Nobody understands what I'm going through. Just a bunch of negative thoughts. And it happens. It happens. But in order to shake the feeling off, you have to recognize it. And I'm 44, right? So it took me years to understand that I had an enemy and what the enemy's job is. My job is to believe that I can do X thing, whatever that thing is, or achieve things. But the enemy's job is to get you in unbelief, so you'll be believing for the opposite of what you're believing for, because those negative thoughts just rerun in your head. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working, right? And then as you think that, then that comes out of your mouth. It's not working. And then as soon as those negative words come out of your mouth, then that's what you start believing. So now that I understand that, if a thought comes to my head, then I always combat it with good things always happen for me. Things always work out for me. And I say it out loud because now that's what I have belief for, and not the negative thoughts that are in my head. So we have to understand that we have an enemy out there that's trying to get us in that unbelieving state. And we once we recognize it, then we have to find words, affirmations, scriptures of things that are going to fill your mind and your belief system with good things, right? Um, and all this came the the funk and the negative thoughts today, I believe, came as a result of me having a conversation with um, my man Cisco. We had a great conversation. He's a part of the morning meetup, and we connected, we bonded, and uh, we now have a lot of conversations regarding life and just how to do things better. He's given me some major good information about how to run a business and how to be more efficient. And that's another thing that this book is talking about, like how to be more efficient in your business so you're not doing everything in your business. And he's giving me some game on that. So shout out to you, Cisco. But we had a great conversation about being ungrateful and how to combat that and steps to take to understand, like you're looking at this person to say, hey, I'm not where he is. I'm not where she is. And this has happened to me as well. But when you do that, you have to understand who you are as a person. Before you say I'm not where he is or I'm not where she is, you have to understand, are you willing to be the person to are you willing to be that person to get the things that person has? Like, who did that person need to be to be able to achieve and attain all those things that you're aspiring to have? And if the answer is I'm not willing to go as far as that person, then there's no reason for you to be down about not being that person. So we have to think about that. Like, everything that we do comes at a cost. And are you willing to pay that cost to be in that person's shoes or to have or achieve those things? And after you think about it, you might say, you know what, I don't want to do that. But I think before we get down on ourselves about not being or having those things, then we need to understand, are we willing to go to that next level in our business, in life, to achieve those things? And we talked about so many more things, but that specifically resonated with me as I was giving information and as he was giving information to me, that that's where we fall into being ungrateful of where we are in life. So again, I talked about it earlier that we are, if you really think about it, you're way further ahead than maybe you were a year ago. And if you're not that far ahead and you don't like it, the good news is you can do something about it for the most part. You do have options, and you if you don't like where you are in life, you can do something about it. So don't get into that mindset that, oh, I can't do anything about it. Oh, this is just the way it is. Because again, that's that negative speak that the enemy's trying to put into your head so that he can get it out of your mouth. So then that's what you'll be believing for. So after we had that conversation, I wake up and then I feel terrible. But again, we got to recognize why we're feeling that way. So just that's my overall message today, is that we all have somewhere to go. We all want to be somewhere in life. We're all trying to achieve things, and we're looking at different people of where they are. But before you get down on yourself to say I'm not where that person is, if you have a relationship with that person, or you have uh their phone number or email address, or you can reach out to them basically and ask them, like, yo, what did you do to get to this place? That's exactly what I did when we started off on our wealth building journey. Saw somebody, Rick and Charlotte Edwards, stand in front of our church, said that they were paying for houses and cars with cash. And to me, at that point in time, like, that was foreign to me. I'm like, how are you doing that? But instead of hating, instead of, thinking negative about, how they were able to do these things, I went up and I asked him, and he told me, and I said, all right, cool. That this is good information. So before you get upset about where somebody else is in life, and get down on yourself, ask them, or if you follow them on social media, maybe they're giving you nuggets along the way of how they were able to achieve these things. But before you get down on yourself, you got to ask yourself, Am I willing to go that far to get where they are in life? And if the answer is no, then you have no reason to be upset anymore. Okay. And also, we have our own races to run. Like, you be the best you that you can be when you're on your journey of life, wealth building, parenting, entrepreneurship, being an employee trying to get promotions and things of that nature. Like, be the best you that you can be. They only made one you. You can only just be the best you can be, and the results will come as you'll the accolades and all the other things will come as a result of you just being the best authentic you that you can be, and stop trying to be like everybody else. So that's the message today. Um Recognize when you get these negative thoughts in your head, make sure that you trap it there and don't let the negative thoughts come out of your mouth, because again, that's what we'll be believing for if that happens. I'm telling you. So hopefully this is help somebody. This is not a money talk at all. However, this will help you on your wealth building journey, because it's all a journey. It's not all flowers and candy and roses and all that stuff. Like, this is real life, and life gets tough sometimes, and a lot of times we make it 10 times tougher than it needs to be by focusing on what we don't have, being in that gap and being ungrateful. Be grateful for what you have. You are where you are. If you want to go further, then you need to take inventory of what you need to do different to get better and more results. And that goes for everybody, myself included. Like, if I don't like where I am, I got to do some different things. So anyway, that's the podcast episode today. Be grateful. Take inventory of where you are. If you want to go further, then are you willing to do more and do different things to get you a better result? And you can only be the best you that you can be. Can't be anybody else. So again, hopefully this helps somebody. Wealth is a journey. Wealth is a journey. We will see you next week. Thank you.